Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Retire Well, the show that's designed to help you retire well in all aspects of your life. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio, we have Kevin Bucher. He is the co-founder and a financial advisor at Citizen Advisory Group. Kevin, another great week to be here with you talking about important financial concepts. How are you?
I'm doing well. Great show lined up for today. Another one of those fun topics that maybe is a lightning rod topic. So we'll have a lot to talk about today.
For sure. Well, one of the things, again, that sets Citizen Advisory Group apart is that you all serve as fiduciaries, meaning that they have a legal obligation to always serve clients' best interests. And this means that we have to look at all aspects of financial planning, look at all the available tools that are out there, which means that we need to talk about the A word, which is?
Annuities.
Annuities, yes.
Yes. Yeah, and part of that fiduciary obligation that we have to our clients means that we have to approach things from a fair and balanced. We have to be fair and balanced in our approach.
Yes.
And too often, I think we hear words like, oh, I hate that, I would never use that, or I love this and I only use this. And the reality is, there's no bad options out there, but there is bad options for maybe the individual. So
Correct.
We have to have a fair and balanced approach and make sure we're looking at all of the options and use the right solutions for the individual client.
For sure. And you and I both know that not all annuities are created equal. There's different kinds, and so there's different types, and it's really important. There's a lack of education out there about what these products actually are, what they do. But even in 2023 alone, we saw sales for annuities skyrocket for good reason. So we got to talk about it.
Yeah, so according to a recent LIMRA study, record-setting year of sales in the annuity world, $360 billion went into annuities.
Wow, 360 billion with a B.
So
Yep.
if they were terrible, that doesn't make sense, right? That there was a
Right.
record-setting year.
Yep.
And I do think there's some specific reasons why it was a record-breaking year, and we'll get to that on why annuities had such a strong year. But really, just having that fair and balanced approach, making sure we're not discounting options that might be the right solution for our clients. And what I would say is, as we go through the show today, we're going to go through some examples of annuities, and maybe there's an annuity that is right for you. So stay into the show today, make sure you don't tune out, and let's figure out if maybe an annuity has a place in your retirement portfolio. Absolutely.
Well, we got to start with the basics, right? And we're all about solid financial education on this show. So first up, what is an annuity?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question because it's really hard to actually get a straightforward answer about what is an annuity. So at the basic level, an annuity is a contract with an insurance company that's the exchange of some money for a payout stream of some sort. So again, it was one of those, in looking at what is an actual annuity and trying to come up with a very succinct definition, that was the best I could come up with. It's a contract with an insurance company. It's basically the exchange of money for an income stream. But there's different types of annuities where maybe that income stream is not required or it could be delayed altogether.
And this is what creates a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstandings surrounding annuities.
Yeah, there is a lot of confusion and misunderstandings of annuities, and I think one of the more frustrating aspects of annuities from my perspective is it's not hard to find maybe bad press about annuities, especially from certain outliers out there in the marketplace. But they tend to report on annuities, or people tend to think of annuities all lumped into one basket like they're all the same. But the reality is there's vastly different types of annuities. They have different term lengths, they have different liquidity features, they have different risk levels, they have different fees. There's all of those different components of annuities, but so we can't lump them all together and talk about them like they're all exactly the same because they're very different.
Right. And it speaks to the fact that, too, it's not right for everybody, and not every kind of annuity is going to be right, and what's right for you might not necessarily be what's right for the person sitting next to you, just with all the different financial tools that are out there.
Yeah, so it must have been right for a lot of people in 2023 because it was a record-breaking year. So why would that be?
Yeah.
So I think when you look at 2023, one of the leading indicators or factors that led to this record-breaking year was there was so much uncertainty about what was happening in the economy and the market. And annuities can provide some certainty. So for individuals that were still a little uncomfortable with where the markets were, the economy, well, an annuity can provide some security to that and put some certainty to your retirement plan. So even though 2023 was actually a really good year for the stock market, consumer sentiment really didn't match that. Consumer sentiment is still really low. People don't feel good about where the economy and the market is, even though we actually saw strong returns. So that's one reason why I think we saw a record-setting year of sales in the annuity space, is people were looking for options outside of the traditional stock bond portfolio and looking for a solution that had a little more guarantee or certainty behind it. So that was the first reason.
Yep. And then obviously interest rates probably play into this as well. So talk about that and how that created the need and the desire to get into the annuity space.
Yeah, so I think that's the second thing that played into this. We saw interest rates that were hovering near zero shoot up. We saw 7 interest rate increases through 2022, and that continued into 2023. Well, what that did is that it added some extra earning potential into some of the types of annuities, in particular the fixed and fixed indexed annuities, where there's a much higher earning potential in those annuities. So it made annuities a much more viable option in the marketplace because there was much more return potential in those products and stronger income. So the other aspect of the high interest rates, it created a higher payout rate. And I would argue that that's maybe more important for retirees, the payout rate on their investments, because that's what you tend to live off of. How much money are your investments putting into your pocket? And we'll talk about this as we get into the different types. But there's no other investment vehicle that can do what an annuity can do. And that is provide a guaranteed lifetime income stream.
For the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. A guaranteed level of income that's guaranteed for the rest of your life. And as a result of the raising interest rates we saw, those payout rates are now higher. So it's putting more money in your pocket on a guaranteed basis for the rest of your life. So those are the two main factors that I think contributed to why we saw the record-breaking year in sales. And the reality is, I don't see that changing rapidly. So the expectation is that interest rates are going to cool down a little bit here in 2024, but there's still going to be that same high earning potential in these fixed and fixed indexed annuities relative to other secured investments. So I think there's still a pretty low consumer sentiment as far as how people feel about the market and maybe where it's going. Obviously, we're also in a political year, which makes people feel a little uneasy with the election of this year. So people that are looking for alternative solutions to secure their retirements, the annuity can potentially be a good fit for that.
Absolutely. Well, I know as we continue on today's show, you're going to unpack the different types of annuities and helping folks understand those. But if someone's watching right now and maybe this is a new thing for them to think about and they might be wondering, I wonder, could an annuity be right for me? What would you say to someone who is, trying to figure that out?
Well, I think you have to start by sitting down and doing a full look at your financial picture. And today we're kind of focusing on just the investment piece of that. But yes, come in, schedule a time for you to come in and meet with one of our team members that'll kind of walk you through your current portfolio and how an annuity could potentially enhance that portfolio for you. An annuity is not the right fit for everyone in every situation, but come in, schedule a time to come in and sit with one of our advisors. Let us go through your situation and see if maybe an annuity is appropriate for you and what you're trying to do. And I think people are often pleasantly surprised at how an annuity can fit into your portfolio and enhance what you're trying to do already.
Kevin, thank you so much. I'm excited to continue this conversation with you, and we know that you're excited to continue hearing what Kevin has to say. But if you would like to come in and schedule your very own complimentary retirement income review, this is being offered to you for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see about building your retirement income. All you need to do is call this number on the bottom of your screen, 866-630-1675. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone, and if you open up that camera app, you can point, click, and scan that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit that way as well. When we come back, we're going to be diving into the different types of annuity and continue answering this question, could an annuity be right for you? Stay with us.
for many people, they're on the hope plan and they're just hopeful that inflation isn't going to continue at a high rate, or they hope that their health's going to play out appropriately. And the reality is we don't know. But when we build a financial plan that kind of encompasses all of these areas,
having an investment strategy that syncs up well with your retirement planning strategy, a tax strategy, risk management strategies, and then legacy and estate planning,
it just allows people to be free and go live.
Whether you have someone that's helping you with your investments and maybe a totally different person that's helping you with your taxes and insurance, you have a disjointed plan, and when you have a disjointed plan, there's cracks in the plan.
And we have experts in each of these different areas, and when you're doing it together in a cohesive plan, you stop money slipping through the cracks.
We recognize that a successful retirement really has to go beyond just the financial services work we do.
But we also have developed what we call Retire Well, which is our wellness program for clients.
It has to include some social engagement and social connection.
And so we provide opportunities to get involved and get engaged in the community, whether that's an educational event or a walk at our wonderful Toledo Zoo.
We are a family business, and as we bring in new clients to our firm, they become part of our family. So family is big to us, and we treat our clients as if they're part of that family.
Well, welcome back to Retire Well. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Kevin Bucher, co-founder and financial advisor at Citizen Advisory Group. And we are having a very important conversation today about all things annuities. And we are providing solid education to make sure that everyone out there, Kevin, understands what they are, the different kinds that exist, and to answer the question, could an annuity potentially be right for me? And so it's time for us to look at the different types, because you and I both know that not all annuities are created equal. There's different kinds that serve different purposes. So let's dive into what those types are.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start by looking at kind of like the basic level of an annuity, and that is going to be some type of an income annuity. So an income annuity is basically what we described before as the exchange of lump sum of money for a payout stream that can be set up either for a period of years or more commonly your lifetime. So sometimes one of the things we hear from clients is that, oh, I would not do an annuity because the insurance company takes your money. And that is true actually for this type of an annuity. It's called an immediate income annuity or a deferred income annuity. And you are giving your lump sum of money to the insurance company, but you're purchasing this payout stream that can be guaranteed for the rest of your life. Now, some people that maybe is not appropriate for to give up control of the lump sum of money, but that at the simplest form is one type of annuity. And it is a viable solution for people that are looking to increase their income, but you are exchanging some cash to do that.
Right.
So not all annuities are built that way, so that's just the first type. So as we get out of the income annuity space and we look at the deferred annuities, just so that this stays very simple, you have the income annuities, and then you have the deferred annuities, and there's three different types of deferred annuities.
All right.
Which is probably an understatement because there's more than three different types, but
we're keeping it high level today, right?
We'll go with the big categories. So
all right.
The first type of deferred annuity is what I would call a fixed annuity or a multi-year guaranteed annuity.
Also known as a MYGA,
Yes,
right? We love our
MYGA.
acronyms in this financial industry, so if you ever hear that, that's what it's referring to.
MYGA is certainly easier to say than multi-year guaranteed annuity. So what that really is, it looks a lot like a CD. So a fixed annuity or a MYGA, you're basically buying an annuity with a term length at a fixed guaranteed rate of return. So you could potentially buy a 5-year annuity that's paying 5.5%, 5%, and that's guaranteed for that period. So that sounds a lot like a CD.
Right.
There's some differences. CDs are purchased through banks. Annuities are purchased through insurance companies. The interest earnings on CDs are going to be taxable to you as you earn it, whereas the interest earnings on a fixed annuity or a multi-year guaranteed annuity, the MYGA, that's deferred. You don't have to pay the taxes annually. You hold off and pay the taxes when you choose to pay the taxes on that growth. The annuity also is going to provide some liquidity. So different than what we were talking about with the income annuities.
Where once you give that money, it's gone,
you
right?
have an account balance that's continuing to earn interest, and you can access that through some type of withdrawal. Depends on the product. Sometimes that's for the interest only. Sometimes there's allowance for 10% of the value of the policy. But so that is the base fixed annuity. That's the first type of deferred annuity policy.
All right.
So complete opposite end of the spectrum is a variable annuity. Because in a variable annuity, you still have an account balance, so you're not making the exchange of giving up your capital, but your investment is still in the market through what's called sub-accounts. But because it's through an insurance company, because annuities are all through insurance companies,
Right.
they can wrap some guarantees around that, and there's a lot of different types of guarantees. So there's sometimes guarantees around a death benefit. Sometimes there's what's called living benefits, which is some type of an income stream without having to give up control of the cash.
Right.
So variable annuities, you're still invested in the market, so you're still taking the risk of the market, so there's no guarantee of the return, but you can wrap some protections around there, but there is a cost to those protections.
Yes, and talk about that, because I feel like this is the one that often gives all annuities a bad rap, if you will, right?
Yeah, so I think there's two things we commonly hear. Number one, the insurance company takes my money. Well, that's true for one specific type of an annuity, not all.
Right.
Two, the annuities have high fees. They're high fee products. Well, unfortunately, sometimes we do see variable annuity policies that have high fees, but that certainly is not true for all types of annuities.
Right.
But variable annuities, when you're buying protection, because you're invested in the market, well, that protection has cost and fees associated to
Yeah,
it.
and I find a lot of people aren't even aware of the fees that they're paying. Maybe you already have an existing annuity contract. It's shocking. I think a lot of folks don't even know what questions to ask when they call the insurance company to find out what they are actually paying and what they're getting in return for that.
Yeah, I think people would be very surprised at the different layers of cost. So you have the cost of the advisor you're working with.
Right.
You have the cost of the investments that they're using, and that's where those are somewhat hidden, I think, often, and people are very surprised at what those cost of the investments are. So there's a third type that fits in between the fixed and the variable, and those are fixed indexed annuities.
Okay.
So in a fixed indexed annuity, you're still not subject to any market loss like the fixed, so we like that. So
Right.
principal protection offered by the insurance company. But you have the potential for some better earnings than what the fixed rates apply, because they're going to link you to some type of a stock index, and your return will be determined by the market's performance. So I said a lot there, so let me try to unpack a little bit of that. So it's a guaranteed principal protected account. So your funds are still not subject to any risk of loss, but your returns can be linked to what's happening in the stock market. So for example, I could be tracking the S&P 500 index. So if that index has a good year, I participate in the earnings of it. But if it has a bad year, I don't participate in any of the loss. Now, that might sound too good to be true,
Right.
but the reality is I'm going to participate in the upside of the market if it does well, but I don't get it all typically.
You don't get the full,
Yes.
right, full upside, if you will.
But with the changes that we've seen in interest rate, that upside that we can realize in these indexed annuities is much better today than what it was 2 years ago. So the earnings potential is much higher today.
Right. And that's what's made them, I think, so much more attractive in recent years and months.
Yes. So that's kind of the basics of it. I really, though, want to move into what's maybe a little more exciting than talking about annuities and the different types of annuities. And is an annuity potentially the right fit for you? And so what we're going to do is kind of talk through 3 different scenarios of why an annuity might be a good fit. So in the first scenario, it's about tax deferral. So I kind of mentioned this earlier. All of the annuities provide tax deferral to your interest earnings. So if I'm somebody that has a high income, I could potentially shelter some of my interest earnings that I have to pay tax on by going into an annuity.
So it's a tax saving strategy potentially for that
It can
individual.
be.
Right.
So it's really important to point out that if we were using funds from an IRA or a 401k or a Roth IRA, well, those have their own tax rules to them. So the annuity doesn't provide any additional benefits from a tax standpoint for those policies. But if I have a brokerage account or money in the bank, well, I can then use the annuity to provide some tax deferral.
Got it.
So Chris and Andrea, a couple that we work with, we use the tax deferral of annuity to fit into their financial plan. So their situation was this. They actually had a lot of non-Roth IRA and IRA money. So they had a lot of taxable money.
In a brokerage account,
In a
I'm
brokerage
assuming.
account,
Right, yeah.
yes. So one of the consequences of that is the dividends and interest that their investments are paying, they have to report each year and pay the tax on. Well, they are at a stage of life where they weren't retired yet. Well, I'm sorry, they were retired but not on Medicare yet. So they were living off of their investments.
Right.
And they had to buy their insurance, because they're not on Medicare yet, through the Affordable Care Act, which premium pricing for insurance before Medicare is all about income control.
Right.
So we were able to place some money in a short-term fixed annuity, guarantee a rate of return, and shelter all that earnings from their tax return. And not only did it save them money in taxes, but it saved them money on their health insurance.
Wow, it just really speaks to how you make a decision in one area affects all the others. We say that on this show all the time.
Yes, we can't look at things in a vacuum. We have
Right.
to look at the big picture on how it all fits in there.
For sure. Well, if someone's watching and already has an annuity contract, can you speak to what you would do for someone if they came in and brought that contract to you and what that conversation would look like?
That is actually a really great point to bring up, that we're actually in an environment now that if you have an existing annuity, it's a great time to review the benefits and features of that policy, because the newer policies are providing some better opportunity in most situations. So now is a great time to review that existing annuity policy. So if you would like to have your annuity policy reviewed, give our team a call so that we can help you through that process.
Kevin, thank you. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 866-630-1675, or you're also welcome to set up your complimentary appointment by scanning that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner as well. We'll continue answering this question of could an annuity be right for you right after this.
Whether it's time with your grandkids, travel, or finally doing what you've always wanted, retirement is about having the time to live life on your schedule. At Citizen Advisory Group, we build comprehensive retirement plans customized to your individual goals. Whether you're still preparing, taking your first steps, or have been on the path for years, our trusted and caring professionals are here to help you manage the risks and navigate the challenges on the road to your financial future. Citizen Advisory Group, your retirement journey begins here.
Well, welcome back to Retire Well, where today we are helping to answer the question, could an annuity be right for you? And Kevin, so much goes into deciding what products could in fact be in someone's best interest. We've already established not all annuities are equal, not all solutions are right for all folks. It depends on your individual situation. What are some of the other factors that you use to help determine if an annuity could benefit someone?
Yeah, we just never have enough time for
I
this
know,
show,
this time
Kristen.
goes by so fast.
So I think so we kind of talked about the tax deferral. So if you're looking for some tax deferral, maybe an annuity can fit into the portfolio there. But the most common use that we see for the annuity is for the income solution. Because an annuity, as I mentioned earlier, is the only investment vehicle out there that can provide an income stream, but not just an income stream that's guaranteed for the rest of your life, and if structured right, the rest of your spouse's life. So there's no other investment that can do that. We get that from Social Security, potentially. We get that from pensions, and we can get that from an annuity.
Right.
So in the real world, I worked with a client a couple years ago. His name was Bob, and he was exiting the workforce. And Bob actually did a great job of articulating what his goals and objectives were for me. And that made my job so much easier. So we looked at Bob's situation, and he had a very specific income goal in mind for how much income he needed to have in retirement. And he wasn't really looking to have a whole lot of flexibility in that income. So instead of it being tied to the stock market where the income could maybe have some fluctuation to it, he wanted a guaranteed secured income stream of at least a certain amount. So he knew what that amount was. We were then able to do some Social Security planning and figure out what the right Social Security strategy was. Bob did have a pension. So we had Social Security and pension, and we knew what that goal was. But guess what?
There was a gap.
There was a gap.
Yeah.
And he was looking to fill that gap with something that was guaranteed to him for the rest of his life. The annuity was the right fit. He told me exactly how much income he needed. I was able to get him the exact amount of income he needed through the use of the annuity. And the blessing was, and we would never want to use all the money to solve that. We didn't need to use all of the money for Bob, so we were able to target specifically how much money we needed to put into the annuity to provide that paycheck to him that was guaranteed for the rest of his life. We were then able to take the rest of the money, invest that in a way for growth. We didn't have to sacrifice the investment to try to support the income stream because his income stream was already taken care of for the rest of his life and secured. So it actually allowed Bob to invest a little more aggressively and participate more in the equity market returns. Long term, that's going to provide him potentially, no guarantee to what the market does,
Sure,
but it should provide him much better growth and much better protection against inflation.
I love, as I'm hearing you share this story, it just speaks to the fact that so much goes into building a retirement income plan. And, you know, we've said this before, that success in retirement isn't so much to do with the amount of wealth you've accumulated, although obviously that plays a role, but rather the ability to take that amount and then turn it into this reliable, ongoing, steady stream of income that will last you the rest of your life. And it's neat to hear stories of how the right annuity for the right situation can help accomplish that goal.
Yeah, I mean, people, we're just not really that accustomed as a population to living off of an account or an asset.
Right.
We are accustomed, though, to living off of the monthly income or the weekly income that's coming in. So we need to create retirement that looks like that so that you can go out and enjoy and live your life.
Right. And, you know, it's interesting because when people say, I hate annuities, right? And without the education, it's understandable why that could be. But if you think about it, Social Security, something like a pension, that's an annuity, right?
Yes, they're all forms of an annuity.
Right. And so what you're talking about is people creating their own personal pension, if you will, through the right kind of use of an annuity.
Yeah, I think that's the fundamental use of the annuity. The third reason I think annuity might be the right fit for someone in today's market is if you're looking for an alternative to the traditional bond market. So we saw bond values really go for a roller coaster ride as we've gone through these interest rate changes, where bond values have fluctuated quite a bit. Well, the annuity can provide an option outside of the bonds. It still falls into that fixed income category. It's cutting off the downside risk if it's one of the fixed or fixed indexed annuities. So I think it's an option to consider in just your investment allocation aside from the income protection it can provide.
I am so grateful that you have your best interests of your clients at heart to be able to navigate all the ins and outs of something like this, because there's so much to know.
And we just touched on a very small aspect today. There's so much to this. Give our office a call. Our team is standing by and ready to help.
Wonderful. Kevin, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call, 866-630-1675, or again, scan that QR code, and we will be glad to reach out and connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit so that you can start building your solid retirement income plan. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.